All right, thank you for coming back again for another episode on how to be an adjuster in my series on my YouTube channel, and thank you for all your comments and questions. Now this one's going to be a little bit different. We're going to go into a more of a broad topic, and that's going to be for everyone out there looking for an adjuster. So this topic is going to be 7 myths about adjusters. So stick around. I know you're going to look forward to what I have to say, so stick around. All right, let's get started. Myth number 1. Adjusters are there to rip you off. No, that's totally false. Adjusters have to be neutral. We, as independent adjusters, cannot be biased one way or the other. We cannot be preferential to the insurance company, and we cannot be preferential to the insured. It is our due diligence to be right in the middle. Pay exactly what is to be paid, not a penny more, not a penny less. Just remember that. The one thing that I've noticed about being an independent adjuster is that I don't care what damage is on the house, I'm required to write for all the damage. This is important because a lot of times when you come up to the insured, they're thinking we're going to leave something off on purpose. Well, no, why would we? Our point is to get there, do the job that we're being paid for, and do it well. The reason why? We get more work. If we do a good job and we don't have complaints by the insured saying that we've left things off, then the insurance firm is going to hire us again and say, hey, this guy's a good and honest adjuster, we can trust him. One of the things you have to remember is that insurance adjusters, especially independent ones, we really don't care what we're purchasing. Meaning, what am I adding to the estimate? If it's damaged, I write for it. If we're really not sure as the adjuster of when the damage occurred, or the insured is not really sure when that damage occurred, especially like inside water damage, I don't care if I put it on the estimate or not. I'll just write insured is not completely sure when it happened, but I'm including that in this estimate. That's the best way to go. If you play hardball and you try not to add things to the estimate, then it's just going to send up a red flag later when that insured brings up the fact that you didn't include it on the estimate. So just go ahead and include it all, but at least write a note and say the insured is unsure. Myth number 2. Adjusters really don't care about the insureds. Totally false. Guys, we are very thankful for the insureds because they provide us work. Over and over again, I have to remind myself that if the insured doesn't open a claim, then I don't get any work. So you have to understand, they're paying premiums, they're actually opening the claim because they think there's damage. We treat that with respect and honor because of the fact that they opened up a claim. It provides us work. Adjusters are thankful for the fact that there are insureds out there. If we don't have people who own homes and open policies, then insurance adjusters would have no work. So we should be very grateful that there are people out there that choose to own a home. One thing that you have to understand is that an adjuster has to be very honest and a very truthful person in order to have this position as an insurance adjuster. It is very, very high standards that are required for an insurance adjuster to maintain his status as an adjuster. So I want you to understand that this fact that we're coming to your home tells us that we're an honest person. We've paid our dues in order to get here, and we are thankful. So therefore, why would we do anything to mess it up? We're not here to ruin our careers. We're here to do a good job and keep that work coming. Myth number 3. My premiums will go up if I file a claim. False. Guys, that's totally untrue. Now, there are certain ways that premiums do go up. And the number one reason I would say that I have seen over and over again is when people open frequent claims. Frequent and small claims, okay? These are the two factors. A small claim would be somebody who has a small roof leak and there's just one little water stain. But the problem is that their roof is worn out and probably needs replacement. If I was to go out to that house and I would point out to the insured, well, number one, I don't see any wind damage, there's no hail damage on the roof, and it looks like the roof is just worn out and probably needs to be replaced, and the roof is leaking. Now, we are going to write for that interior damage, but we're not going to do anything for that roof. Now, let's say a month later, we get another claim, and that same roof and that same insured calls in a claim with another water spot in another location where this roof is leaking. We come out to that claim, we notify them again. It's because the roof is old and worn out, we don't find any new wind damage or new hail damage, and that roof is leaking again. Now, we would make a note of that in the file that there was a previous claim, that we addressed to the in that prior claim that the insured was told that roof probably needs replaced, and the file again was a very small repair, a lot of times under the deductible. Now, what we're going to find is that same person is going to call back again in about another month and open another claim because the roof is leaking again. That is an indication to us as an insurance adjuster to file for an underwriting review. It's one of the requirements that we are required to do is repeated claims for small damage underneath the deductible. And a lot of times not finding wind damage or any other cause besides just wear and tear that this roof is leaking. That person's premiums potentially could go up in the future for that insurance policy. That's just part of something called risk. If this person is high risk to open up a claim, the insurance company doesn't like that and they want to be careful of that. So they may raise premiums to try and discourage new claims from being open. We also have to remember that wind and hail, fires, and water damage pretty much occur to anyone who owns a home. Sometime in the lifetime of them owning that home, they're probably going to pull a claim. That's just part of owning a home. These things happen, especially if you have kids. Kids overflow toilets all the time. They're putting a toy down there, they're putting a toothbrush, they're seeing where the toilet paper goes, so they put more. It seems like it just never ends. So that's going to create claims. Overflows of toilets, dishwasher breakages, wash machine overflows. It just happens. It's part of owning a home. I even had a child who said, toilet paper, look at that, it goes down. I wonder if the whole roll would go. And no, the whole roll does not go. It clogs and we have an overflow. So things like that are going to happen. People who own homes know this, and they know that that's just a part of owning a home and a risk of owning a home. So those types of claims, when they're major events, are not going to make your claim premiums go up because that's just part of owning a home. Now, if you lived in an extremely weather-prone area, meaning that you get a hailstorm every month, those premiums are going to automatically be pretty high because of the fact that it's a high-risk area. But that's not necessarily meaning that your premiums will go up every single time that your monthly payment comes in. It just means that they're going to be high to start with because you're in high risk. It would be the same as if you own beachfront property. It's just going to be very high to carry insurance in that location. So, like I mentioned before, premiums are dictated by the frequency of the claims and the dollar amount of the claims. So just keep that in mind. What I tell people is typically don't open the claims for the small stuff, just save it for the big ones. Myth number 4. My contractor can handle the entire claim for me. Oh, no, don't do that. Hey, who better knows your house than you? And who better knows your policy than you or your agent? So why would you trust a perfect stranger to handling this very important part of your life to just anybody who would drive up, especially those storm chasers that show up only when a bad event happens? Definitely don't leave any type of claim scenario in their hands. Make sure that you always have the control of your own claim. Not to mention that roofers know roofs. So if you have a ton of interior damage that occurred from that roof leaking or from shingles that were tore off, why would you want a roofer to be part of that rebuild process to the interior, which they have nothing or probably little to no knowledge about? So when you hire a contractor to do this work, you want to make sure that he's well-rounded in a lot of different trades. Also, that he comes highly recommended on like Google reviews, or possibly even a neighbor that gave you his name and said he did a wonderful job. So always remember that contractors are great sources to do your work, but you want to be right alongside them, always doing your job to monitor the claim and the claim process with him alongside you. Myth number 5, my claim is going to take a long time to settle. False. No way. Claims today are so streamlined that you typically on a regular roof claim could see possibly even a check in 2 to 3 weeks. Very, very quick from start to finish. Our job as independent adjusters, we are required to see these inspections and inspect these homes within 2 to 3 days at the longest, unless there's a major event. So we're pushed really quickly, or pushed hard on our side to get these things inspected as quick as possible. Now we turn over our file to the insurance adjuster, the desk adjuster, the first day that we inspect that house. We are required that we inspect it and we turn our report over the same day. Then typically, our file reviewer has the same 24-hour review time, and then it's turned over to the desk adjuster. So literally in 2 days from the time that we've inspected the house, your claim is sitting at the desk adjuster's inbox waiting for them to review it. Now, typically, they're swamped. They have a lot of claims. First come, first serve in the queue. I get it, it takes a little bit of time, but generally, 2 weeks, 7 to 10 days, roughly, business days, you can see a result of your claim. Now, if you had a large loss claim, let's say you had a whole house fire or something, a very large water loss, typically there can be a front, basically an amount of money that's given to you ahead of time. And that can be in your hands within days. They can transfer or wire transfer that straight to your account so you have money to live on while this whole process has put you out of the house or just totally disrupted your life. So you could see money very quickly. Now those large loss claims do take a long time to finish because you obviously have to rebuild the house and put it back to new, but you can see money very, very quickly in those claims. Myth number 6. I have been paying premiums for so long time, I just feel like the insurance company owes me. No, they don't owe you. You are paying premiums for a service that guarantees that they will cover you if a major disaster happens to your home. Even some of the minor disasters are covered as well. But you are not owed anything because you paid those premiums. It is your right to receive the benefits of those premiums, but not your right to deserve a claim. Now, I've come across some people that sometimes will have an entitlement attitude, and that's a very dangerous place to be in as an insured, to think that you are entitled to a payout. Typically when I get into these scenarios, a lot of times the damage is less than the deductible. And they don't quite understand that the deductible has to be removed from the total check first. So say they have $800 in damage, but their deductible is $1,000. Well, they're not going to get a payout. Now, what happens when they receive that call from the desk adjuster? They are very upset that they're not receiving any money. And that's because they had that entitlement attitude. And so you want to be really careful not to presume that you have money coming to you or that you deserve money. Also remember that your premiums are not like a bank account. They are not stored up in a savings account so that when you have a claim that you get to draw from that. No, those are not saved up premiums. Those are actually spent by the insurance company to operate their business, to pay their agents, to pay us as adjusters for other people's claims. Not to mention that that's just the services. Now, when they do a massive payout like a hurricane payout or something like that. They're taking monies from certain areas that maybe don't have a storm and taking that money and transferring it over to areas that have a storm. So your premiums are automatically being spent in other areas where there are disasters that need excess money. So just keep that in mind. Now, myth number 7, the last but not least, public adjusters are the only adjusters I should use. No, that is not true. Now, independent adjusters have kind of replaced public adjusters. Now, obviously there's this place for a public adjuster, and I don't want to discredit them at all because there's definitely a great place for them. I've seen them used very well in a scenario where the insured speaks absolutely no English and doesn't understand this process at all. So a public adjuster typically comes in, is able to translate for them, super helpful. I am very thankful when they are there. You also have to remember that public adjusters cost money. You have to pay a portion of that money to them in order for them to do the service. As an independent adjuster, the insurance carrier is paying my fee. You are not, as the insured, paying my fee at all. So just keep that in mind. Public adjusters, you actually write them a portion of your settlement as payment for their services or a separate check to them to help them represent you. So just keep that in mind. Independent adjusters totally replace the public adjuster scenario, and that's not true as well. There's definitely a need for public adjusters to help keep everyone honest and truthful, a second set of eyes. Public adjusters are definitely very helpful. So just keep that in mind, as the fact that years ago, it used to be only staff adjusters or employees of the insurance company that came out as the adjusters, and there was bias. They had a vested interest where they were looking out after the insurance company and not spending as much time concerned about what damage was on the home or in the home. So there was some unfair practices. But for several decades now, independent adjusters have taken over their role of staff adjusters, and now we're independent, we're third party, we're unbiased, and we can do a great job to represent you as the insured without any fear of being ripped off. So this is Daniel the Adjuster. Thanks for watching my 7 myths of adjusters. We'll check you on the next one, okay? And see you soon. Bye-bye.